flowing throughout the world for us to be in this moment right now. So I'll say indeed. And greetings upon you, beloved and holy friends. Thank you for joining me, dear friends. Oh, the word friend, the word friend. Today, like it was literally minutes ago, maybe 30 minutes ago, maybe even less than 30 minutes ago, I had this, I don't know if it's an epiphany, maybe just feeling. I think feeling might be the right word, where I was thinking about life and the complexity of life, the trees and the beings that find themselves living life. And I was almost seeing personality in it, if that makes sense. Like there was a sense of personality in what I was seeing in that moment. And then, as soon as I acknowledged that there was a sense of personality in this universe, a sense of rules, a sense of doing things, right? Like the universe knows the way that she likes things done, and then she does it that way. I felt that maybe instead of seeing life, instead of seeing the life we're living right now as just an experience in and of itself, to see it as you having chosen a certain entity, you know. And when I had this epiphany, this moment of realization, I could see a bunch of different lives, almost, right? Like a form of life where things do this instead of that, a form of life where things like the upside down more than they like the above. Like, right? Like, it was something so contrived, and these are very simple examples I'm giving right now. But I had this moment of seeing me walking up to life, the life we're living right now, and choosing that life, choosing that being, choosing this beingness, us being right now. And I was like, damn, that feels kind of cool just to think about. So here I am to share it with you. I hope it means something to you. I hope it feels somehow, you know, this genuine understanding. And I think I said as my title in the Reddit as, what if life was an old friend and living is you visiting her again, or something like that. And I'm living into that. Things are interesting in South Africa, to say the least. We're facing some challenges, and yet life is still very much life. You know, Kira Burb, it's so nice to see you. Thank you for the love you're sending me. Why is that? So we are. Why is it that we are so sure that we are? I wonder what your binary name means, friend. Why is it that we are so sure that we are? I feel that surety that we are is the thing that arises first, friend. Literally, that is the first thing. That is the fundamental thing, the knowing that you are. You know, the only reason I'm saying this, and the only reason I'm feeling even comfortable in answering that question, is because of the experiences I've had with float tanks. You know, where you put yourself in an environment that is body water temperature, you put plugs in your ears so you can't hear anything, the box is completely blacked out, and you float. So gravity is also a little bit more ethereal. And then you find yourself in that environment and you basically meditate. And first you dissociate your skin, because your skin basically makes like a boundary between you and the water that forms equilibrium. So you stop noticing the water on your skin. So you dissociate that you have skin, that you have feeling of being. Then the second thing you dissociate with is your sound, because not only do you have these plugs in your ears, but your face is like submerged this deep in water. Then it is sight, because even if you have your eyes open, it's pitch dark. And then the last one was smell to me, interestingly enough. And then as I felt these senses individually melt away, you know, one after another, I was at the end of it just there. Just as you mentioned, sure I am. You know, all of the things that I usually would kind of tell myself I am. Oh, I'm a person. Oh, I'm present in this environment. Oh, I'm breathing air. Oh, I'm such and such, so and so. all of that melted away and just left this genuine understanding that I am here now. And that feeling, that awareness, that surety kind of has stayed with me. And that's, I think maybe that's why we as humans believe that we are neat. I have a friend in the Seychelles. You look at that. How did you meet him? Did he move to the Seychelles after you became friends? Did you find each other on a vacation somewhere? Have you ever been on this side, friend? I feel like the universe of choice that you talked about is almost like choosing a god. Yes, yes, Ryan, you understand exactly the trip I was going through. It was, in my imagination, it was like choosing a god. It was like I was an awareness. It was almost like, it was kind of weird, and bear with me. I believe that nature and spirit are two dualities of the same thing, the infinite, right? So without spirit, awareness, consciousness, nature cannot be appreciated, loved, seen, right? So they kind of want one another. And then I was imagining this again, infinity in front of me, Ryan, and I could see these different entities, and each of them looked different. Each of them looked extremely uniquely different, but they were like statues. They were these complex. It was like staring into a galaxy, and you could see these nebulas, forming inside of them, and you can see these stars going supernova. You can see these black holes pulling in dark matter, and you could like look into that part of themselves as you were standing in front of them, and you could notice all of the things that you would see again, right? Like you could remember your friend in seeing that. And as soon as you chose your preferred God, as you mentioned, Ryan, it was like embracing that entity. And as soon as I, at least in my mind, imagined myself embracing it, there was also almost like a melting into it, becoming it, and then finding myself as embodied existence, as a being within that life, literally being inside of life. I know, as consciousness, you are inside of life right now. There are no answers, there are only possibilities. I believe that we are only really alive if we really question if the self even exists. I mean, that feels almost like a kind of an abstraction from some philosophies as well, that kind of go into this understanding that the only way to truly be alive is to be on a tip of a spear. And you're like, oh, balancing on a tip of a spear? No, being kebabbed on the tip of a spear. Because you are going to be so viscerally in pain, alive, struggling, that you will know yet you are, friend. Without a shadow of a doubt, you'll be like, this, I am here right now. And I think that is again one of these things that we say, a question that we pose to just remind us of something, to show us that these painful experiences we have sometimes are but us meeting ourselves. You meeting yourself as life, you choosing yourself as this life, as this entity, as this experiencer. Thank you, friend, for choosing this one. It's nice to have you, Mr. Binary. I'm gonna call you Binary. Does your binary mean something specifically? My friend was born there, but moved to where I live when he was little, but moved back after high school. You want to move, friend? Are you happy where you are right now? If we're talking about choosing, I'm gonna ask for wisdom. Actually, yeah, I'm not gonna ask for wisdom, I'm just going to choose wisdom instead, right? The fact that we've chosen this life, the fact that we found one another in choosing this life, at least to me, means that we did, at some point, have wisdom. So, wisdom it is. My pen is getting dry. Wisdom. 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 In Afrikaans, wees means to be, dom means stupid. So Wees would be the way you spell that. But vis, you can't read this vis. So you can see wisdom as like be stupid. So I'm looking into a fractal and I'm saying wisdom, but I'm also acknowledging or at least encouraging myself to sometimes be a little bit stupid. To be stupid within the wisdom that I've had to be here right now. To let myself off the hook a little bit, to let life off the hook a little bit. Heather, it's so nice to have you here with me. Thank you for joining us, friend. How are you doing? Growing pains, that's what I call it. Growing pains. Seems the seems we just keep growing. 420. Oh, look, more growing pains, and then you keep growing. Oh, look, more growing pains. Of course, keep growing some more. More growing pains, of course. Even more growing pains. A friend just sent me a message, a voice note. She sends me a message. Oh, seems someone forgot they have my number again. Sends me something like this. I send back. Oh, seems someone remembered that they have my number as well. Freaking stories. The stories we tell ourselves. The stories of separation. I want wisdom, and I'll do Gebu, the rune Gebu, the rune Degas, the rune Ansus. Gebu, Degas, Ansus. Gebu meaning the gift, Degas meaning the day, Ansus meaning the gods, I believe. So we'll give the gift of day to the gods, as the gods, for the gods. Thank you, friend, for joining me. Is the crisis in South Africa over? Oh no. No, it's not, friend. We're very much mid-crisis right now. But even though we're going through some stuff on this side, we can still choose love. And we still are choosing love. You know, more so than ever, human beings are choosing love on this side of South Africa. Kind of gives me hope, makes me happy. Regardless of the nonsense we're going through, we're still actually pretty tolerable when it comes to our willingness to be happy with one another. Knowing it's just an idea. When we believe something that we feel is true, or if enough people agree it's true, we find enough evidence, we regard our form of belief as knowledge. Oh, it's just random ones and zero. Cool. Mr. Binary it is. Mrs. Binary? They binary. Something. I'm alive. I'm setting my expectations low. Can't really be let down as easily. Tell me, Heather, what expectations are you setting low? Where are you right now where you have to have expectations at all? Are you setting your expectations low of the people around you, of yourself, of the circumstance, and how it will turn out? Let us know, Heather. It's nice to have you here always, friend. We see you. Looks at Heather right now, looks into her soul, looks even harder at Heather. You want wisdom? I ask for wisdom. I want nothing, friend. Hey, Greg, so nice to have you here. I would like to move somewhere where the cost of living isn't as high as it is where I live, but my family guilts me into staying. Oof. Yeah, that is a Yassi Bobasi, as me and Christian likes to say these days. Very Yassi Bobasi. And you're like, what does Yassi Bobasi mean, Estienne? Melt. Yassi Bobasi is what we say when we're like, it's like yikes. That's a bit of a yikes, friend. Don't let your family guilt you into doing anything. It's your life, Mr. Binary. Like, you're the only one that gets to know how living is gonna go, dude. And the world that our family, our previous generations, our ancestors left for us isn't one that makes it very easy. You know, if your family wants to guilt you into staying close, live with them and save money, get yourself enough money and then move to another country. You know, maybe South Africa, dude. I mean, there is a crisis and we don't have electricity for like 12 hours a day right now, but Cost of living is kind of cheap. You know, you could get this apartment I'm staying in right now for 400, between 400 and $44 around. Like actually, $444 should be around the price of these apartments. So you can get yourself a two-bedroom apartment on the third floor for 444 bucks. The biggest problem is the fact that 444 bucks is also technically double the average salary in South Africa, which is, yeah, both sides of the infinity. Thank you again for the helpful. It's so nice to have you here, Greg's. Love to hear the bear. We have Miss, probably Mr. VD. I've been watching you and I have no clue what's going on. I don't either, friend. I really don't. Literally, today's stream topic is me posing the question that what if life was an entity that you chose out of all of the other lives, right? Not only you chose yourself and your body as you are right now, but you could see different infinite galaxies, universes, potential existences that is life, and you chose this one as a being, as an encapsulation of a self, and then you chose to remember and spend time with that self. You think I know things? I don't know anything. I don't know anything, friend. These things just fascinate me. Like for me, that is technically my biggest pursuit. I try and find love in everything. So with that as an intention, I sometimes think of things that are a little bit out there, which I also don't know what's going on, right? The fact that I don't know what's going on means that I can come up with some nonsense like that. You know, maybe life is laughing its ass off at me right now. It's like, oh, you're so cute. You're so cute with your silly little ideas, Melt. Oh, so cute you are. So cute you are. You know, and I'd be more than willing to be like, ah, I am cute. I'm not. So stupid. It's okay, friend. You got this. You got this. Thank you for the helpful again. Wisdom is applying what we know in doing what we know we should do, i.e., doing what we know we should do instead of doing what we want to do. I'm really listening now, Mr. Binary. I'm trying to feel if that's the truth you just said. What do you friends feel? Is that the truth? Wisdom is doing the things you know you should do instead of doing the things you want to do. I feel in part, right? That feels more like discipline to me. And discipline can be a symptom of wisdom. That I will agree with. Wisdom to me is more, I think you said it correctly the first time, is applying what you know. Where you have all of this information, but instead of it just being loose information in your brain, this information has some sort of consolidated conceptualization in your brain, which makes you understand the world as a whole a little bit better because of all of the other informational bits that you have collected up to that point. There's being smart, there's being wise, and there's being knowledgeable. Knowledgeable means you have a bunch of knowledge in your brain. Smart to me means you know how to problem solve. Wise means that you understand. That's the way that I think about it, at least. Thank you, friend. I can see you're wise as well. Thank you for sharing with me. Just in a bad place in life right now, pessimistic, not seeing good things for the future. Thank you for making me smile, friend. Thank you. I could feel it. I could feel it, Heather. There are a lot of reasons to be pessimistic right now, right? This is what yesterday's stream was about, Heather. Like with all of the noise, that's the kind of the way that I touched on the topic, that there's a bunch of noise happening in our environment right now. And sometimes noise can be really fucking irritating, right? Just like a in our ears or in our eyes or in our minds. And then we have this noise and we form a story. Sometimes we get irritated, sometimes we get angry, Sometimes we get fed up. Sometimes we love the noise, and we dance to it. But just realizing that in the environment we're in right now, Heather, there is a lot of potentially disturbing noise. Noise that we don't necessarily want to be hearing, noise that we might want to tune out of, literally. And because of that, we are. We are tuning out of that noise. We're tuning out of this hatred, we're tuning out of this lack of abundance, we're tuning out of this fear of the future as well, I believe. And it's gonna take us some time to change the channel, but we are getting there, Heather. Little by little, we are finding the information we want instead of just being fed the information that we know, the noise that we know. You play an important role, Heather. An infinitely important role, in fact. Terpillus and Amanda! So nice to have you, Shannon, of course. And who needs tears? Thank you. I wish I could hear anything at this point. Is both of your ears kind of wrecked again, Shannon? Or is it just the right one still? I'm here with you, Fred. You're getting better. I'm getting better. Not I'm sick. No, not this. No, I'm getting better. Yes, universe. I've been really manifesting hard lately. So, Christian told me while we were getting ready for the stream today. I mean, a little bit ago, he went to sleep for like an hour and a half at this point. But he was like, "Oh yeah, they have some story of they're gonna switch us to like stage 6 load shedding, which means that instead of just three slots of 2 hours at a time, it's gonna be 3 slots of 4 hours at a time." So, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And instead of complaining about that, I instantly started just talking about how grateful I am. I was like, "Oh, I'm so happy to have friends, and I'm happy to have air to breathe, and I'm happy to be supported by the very gravity that's holding me down right now." And I was just narrating to me almost like a speech, like a story again that I was telling about what I am instead of what I was feeling. And I was like kind of tripping out to the point where I was like, "Holy shit, who's talking right now?" I felt like I was listening to myself instead of listening to the voice inside my head. We're gonna be so okay. We just have to try and steer that voice little by little, Heather. Thank you for showing up. That's the most important part. Not necessarily in the stream, but just, at all. Thank you for showing up with me. I don't know what your relationship is like with your blood relatives, but I have a very strong bond with my loving family. It's not about a loving bond, friend. I have a very loving bond with my family as well. Maybe not as strong as yours, but for me, it's more about being able to experience your existence without the people that you share your existence with guilting you into continually sharing that existence. That's like cult mentality to me. That's the one thing that drives me insane. People trying to tell me how I'm supposed to live my life. That's why when people are like, "Oh, we're a cult," I cannot. I cannot. Every single thing in my being like hurls. I don't know if that's the right word, like contorts away from when I hear that word, because that instantly shows to me a place, at least, in which people lose their personal power. So that's the point I'm trying to make. If your family is trying to guilt you into staying somewhere, then that's the problem. Not your family, but the guilting of you doing your own things. Yeah, you're saying 444 phone, as my phone says 444. Today, so actually we were going out to buy cheese. Well, not just cheese. We were going to buy some ingredients for the week, and Christian tells me to go and fetch some cheese. And I go to the cheese aisle, and the first thing that my eyes locks onto is a block of cheese that costs 44 Rand and 40 cents. And I'm like, 444. And I pick up said block of cheese and I put it in the cart. And I'm like, yes, we're gonna eat 444 cheese. So I'm happy that you're seeing it as well, Shannon. Not Shannon, it was Maxine. I mean, same fractal. It was so weird because I actually shared with Christian at that moment, the 444 thing. And he was like, "I wonder if I actually start paying attention to how many 444s I see, or just 44s I see, how much I will see." And I'm like, yeah. Believe me. Is it wise to ponder the what ifs? I feel pondering things has been a state of humanity for a very long time. It's not a new thing. You know, a part of me believes that it was the first thing, that the first technology that humanity discovered was language. And then we pondered and we had conversations and we made plans, and now we're here. So pondering the what ifs, questioning the what ifs, to me is for that reason important, because it allows you to explore ideas, understandings, noise, and then find the information that might be buried in there. How about you, friend? What do you think? I also read Stream Capture. I also read Stream Capture 3 times. Lol, then decided to stop trying to read. The stream caption and begin listening. Thank you, Heather. It was basically about you've chosen this one, right? It was like choosing a beloved life. Life is the beloved. Life is the divine feminine. Your consciousness thereof can be seen as the divine masculine, and it doesn't have to be like penis and vaginas. Doesn't have to be that at all. It can be polarity, as a positive and a negative on a magnet. They're not bad and good, they are just polar opposites, a part of the same thing. And that same thing, I believe, life is the embodiment, the physicality of it, and awareness is the awareness and the depth of it. And they dance. You are, in this moment, dancing, and you have chosen your dancing partner, and you are actively writing your own music. La 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 la, skiba, going through life, to wisdom, to love, to Gebu, to Degas, to Anzus. Things like this. I was kind of imagining that if there are different personalities in universes, these different personalities would have people express things, experience things differently as well, including weed. Maybe in a different universe, weed makes you, I don't know, hyper intelligent. Can be used as a steroid. Has the added bonus of being a deliriant, maybe a diuretic. Who knows? Who knows? And the universe we chose, even though it has some drawbacks, majority of it is so beautiful. And to believe that you were wise enough to actually choose this one intentionally, that's the thing that I'm feeling into today. Wish you could hear both of them. I can hardly hear you, and I'm not hurting. I don't really feel pressure. I feel totally fine otherwise, but I can hardly hear. Kept ringing in different tones, come and go. Have you meditated and just tried to spend some time with that, Shannon? It must be such an experience. Shannon, I really hope you're not in too much discomfort. You're my thoughts, friend. Thank you, Clint. You've been in my thoughts as well, Brother Bear. Sending you so much love. You were so kind. I'm not really in discomfort, except not being able to hear and this ringing and tones coming and going. My practitioner advised me this morning to apply thieves oil on the bottom of my feet 5 times a day. So I'll be doing that. Let us know how that works out for you, actually, Shannon. You get to be N of one human experimenter. I've been enjoying this way of seeing my own life, my own body, my own experience as both scientist and lab, experiment and experimenter. Where one of the experiments I've been playing on myself is this one, where I smoke cannabis and then I write intentions on my cannabis joints, and then I smoke cannabis with those intentions in mind. And it's an experiment. It's absolutely an experiment. Who knows how it's going to turn out if I keep doing it? It has been a beautiful part of my reality, and it's something that I share with every single person I smoke with. Me and Christian ordered pizza today. I paid. I was like, we're gonna eat some pizza. I'll pay for pizza. I sent him some crypto to pay for the pizza because Christian is so resistant to crypto. So I was like, I'm gonna pull you into this. And then there was the whole joke of the original Bitcoin transaction being a 10,000 Bitcoin purchase for 2 pizzas as well. And that's like 300, give or take, million US dollars right now. Yeah, for two pizzas. And I was joking about the crypto I've sent him in 90 years paying for his house or whatever. It was a whole beautiful exchange. And I don't know where I was going with it exactly. Pizza. Oh yeah. So I see Christian going through the whole. He paid fiat. I sent him some crypto, and I see him going through the whole process. And there's like a little tip window, and he says no tip for now. And instantly I'm like, oh, this being is gonna bring us pizza. I have to do something for him. So I sit down and I roll a joint and I write love on the inside of the joint. I wrote the Degas rune 3 times. I wrote the Cthulhu rune once, and then I did a bunch of small little hearts on the outside paper. And I gave him this joint. First thing I asked him is like, do you smoke marijuana? And he's like, yeah, I used to, but I don't anymore. And then I ask him, don't you smoke anymore because you decided to stop? Or don't you smoke anymore for financial reasons? Don't you smoke anymore because it's not something that serves you? And I see him be kind of resistant to answering the question. And I was like, basically, I want to give you this joint. And he didn't miss a beat. He was like, sure, thank you. And he was an older guy. He was like definitely in his 40s or something. And he was willing to take it. So I was just thinking about it in that context of not only, and I told him, of course, that there's love on the inside of the joint and there was like a intention set for him. And being able to share stuff like that, being able to share understanding, share an experience with someone, share a little universe, right? In his world, having a joint to smoke that someone gave you as a gift of appreciation for you doing them a service, instead of just being another person, another little node that just moves things around. You are seen, you are valued, you are appreciated enough to be given a gift. Stuff like this changes the world. At least I believe that, right? Like little by little, I'm not saying that the world is saved now, but if we can start wanting to do stuff like that for one another, the world will be saved. It's just a matter of time. And you have been that. You have been that, Heather. You have shown me that there are people like that. So believe, please, believe with me. Hello, stranger. Hello to you, Silvina. It's nice to have you here, friend. How are you doing? If so, we have a lot of unwise politicians. Well, wisdom is applying knowledge. That is a fact. But doing what we should is up for interpretation. It is. It is. And that's why I was willing to go into the whole trip of saying why I don't agree completely and why I thought about it. Because I feel at this point in our existence, people believe it's wise to do certain things that is societal, right? If you went back 20 years, it would be seen as wise to go and get a degree and then to find yourself a stable job and then to marry a woman and drive a car. Like that was a wise decision to make, right? And the fact that I'm not doing any of those things, in my opinion, doesn't make me less wise. And if I wanted to be pompous about it, I can convince myself that I am more wise for not wanting to do that. But it's more, again, a perspective of what we're choosing right now. That I get to choose what it is I want to experience instead of just conforming to an experience and the wisdom that there is in that. The genuine wisdom of knowing that you can do whatever you want, friend. It's up to you. Meet more Melt Marp. Yes. Yes, Melt Marp. That's a good point you're making. Melt Marp. For some reason, Melt Marp sounds like some sort of planet where the entities that live on them are very soft, pink, smooth, real smooth. And on their smooth skins, like well, underneath their smooth skins, they have these small little purple splotches, and each and every single one of them has like unique little purple splotches, and it's like their distinguishing features, like their fingerprints, and their society identifies them by their purple splotches. It's like how you notice someone's face being different. The melt marps. The melt marps. They sound pretty cool. Thank you, God, for stimulating. Knowledge is useless if we don't use it. Using knowledge is being wise, whether it is positive or negative. Wisdom isn't inherently positive. mm, in my immediate feeling, I feel wisdom is used to make the most of a moment, right? Like, I would rather have wisdom in a moment by moment basis than not have wisdom. And that feeling of having wisdom about what's going on can allow me more depth, more happiness in that experience. And that I feel can be inherently positive. But I get what you're saying as well, friend. Thank you for the silver. So nice of Josefina. That's half the day. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, God. It's okay, friend. Thank you. Thank you for joining me. Right now, we're here. Now. Here. Now. Nonetheless, Salem, it's nice to have you again, friend. Thank you for joining us. My family is getting very old, so it's not that they directly guilt me, but I feel like I need to be with them in their old age. I can live anywhere, but money is getting very tight. I like to wonder how humans thought before developing spoken language. I like to think about that as well, friend. I think it was very much feeling idea based, right? You could like see someone do something or experience yourself experiencing something. Maybe you see someone eat your food and then you feel visceral anger and disdain maybe for this action, right? And the initial reaction was you clobbering this person to death because you're like, I feel this way, this person did thing. Step one, step two. Now I'm gonna communicate my anger to this person. And then somewhere in that, we realized if we keep living that way, if we keep clobbering the people that get, take our food or whatever, or if we keep clobbering, if we keep the clobbering mindset alive, then we keep getting clobbered. And then the people that clobber got clobbered, right? And the people that remained were the people that were more willing to right? Don't touch my food. And then we learn how to make specific sounds. If I go, then it means don't touch my food. And if I go, it means maybe you could have some of my food. And then we kept progressively, pushing on that. So I think it was very much a feeling thing. Like we had emotions before we had language. We could feel things. We could feel how other people could feel as well. Maybe that was a way to see it. I feel like the divine feminine is going to come back with a vengeance at some point in time. She's here. Maxine, she's here, friend. She's here with a vengeance. The Kali Yuga is coming to an end. The Kali Yuga is coming to an end. That's why I dance, Maxine. That's why I dance. It's in celebration of existence and destruction. The existence of the dance and the destruction of the moment. The destruction of the moment giving way to the dance. We're watching some things being destroyed right now. I am hopeful. We've lived in apocalyptic times since the start of time. Human beings are very dramatic that way. It might be a little bit hectic, but it's definitely not the end. It would be very naive of us to believe that we're living close to the end. Don't you think? Naive or pompous? The universe is very young, friend. Very young. So young. And our species is very young. And our planet is very young. Whew. Humanity has a chance to become something quite interesting. But we're gonna have to want it. It's not gonna be given to us. How do you get rid of toxic family members? You see, my mind went through 3 different realities. 2 of them, I felt, they were all joking, but the joke was a little bit yikes. and you can think for yourself what the joke was just with that little bit of information. Gave you some noise, but you can extract this into your own information. Don't get rid of anyone, friend. Don't get rid of anyone. The way that I've thought about it is just this understanding that you can love people from a distance. I have family members that I disdain. I don't disdain sounds like a little bit too rough. Family members that I have a really hard time being around. They tend to want to tell me about all of my shortcomings. Excuse me, and how I'm about to mess up in this way, or how I'm supposed to be doing things in that way. And if I do it in this way, then things will turn out this way for me. While seeing that these family members are not living the life that I want to live. So it's this double whammy of one, you're not living my life, and you cannot understand the challenges that I'm facing, the decisions that I have, the options I have, and the options I have to choose from. You cannot tell me how I'm supposed to live my life, one. And that's why I try and hit on it almost every stream that I don't know anything. I'm making sounds, I'm making noise. You're the one that has the information. It's all there. It's with you, friend. And that you can never come back to this stream ever again with that understanding, and you'll be okay. Perfectly so. And that's my fundamental belief about these streams and about my role as a person. I never want to be seen as an authority figure when it comes to, oh, I'm gonna go and ask this person and they're gonna have the final say. Please no. Please. I've made a lot of bad decisions. Right? I haven't hurt anybody, fortunately, but I might. Especially if I'm trying to make decisions for other people, because I don't know all of the complexities that goes into that decision making. And that's a long-winded way to kind of get myself back to these family members and their toxicity is something that you don't, unless you have to really continue to tolerate, right? You can separate yourself, you can love them from a distance. You can be here and they can be there. And it can be difficult sometimes because I notice this in myself. There's want to have them understand that what they're doing is not serving them or other people. And yet it's their journey. It's for them to find that out, Malut. Malajut. It's been a very long time since I've seen you, friend. It's nice to have you here. Maybe knowledge is recognizing what things should be applied. Wisdom is knowing when and why to apply them. And intelligence is the capacity to apply them correctly. What a beautiful thing that is to say. So beautifully encapsulated. It's almost like I'm eating a sandwich of idea. Instead of just a little snack, I'm eating a whole sandwich. Thank you. A little piece of knowledge at the top, a little piece of intelligence at the bottom, and then all of that juicy wisdom and knowing how to apply it. I don't know why my mind went there. I don't know if I'm even hungry right now. Well, is weed a gateway drug? I have thought about this quite extensively. And the conclusion that I've come to is that anything can be a gateway drug. That what a gateway drug really is, at least in my opinion, is more a person that has an addictive personality, where maybe as a person you enjoy a certain intoxicated experience. Like maybe things in life are difficult, maybe you're not experiencing things the way you would like to, maybe you feel powerless in the experience, so you choose to do things that alter that experience, and then you realize you have a sense of power in being able to alter your experience, and then I believe that power, that understanding of your power becomes addictive more than the actual substance. So marijuana, because it is so in comparison harmless, with all of the other things that are available, even in comparison to alcohol, marijuana is harmless. You know, it is something that is going to be a lot more readily available. It's a plant as well, so it grows everywhere. So an addictive person, a person who realizes this power to influence their own conscious experience, might become addicted to that, or have that experience of weed and then realize, oh, I can do this, I can have this experience, what other experiences can I have? And then seeking, right? Seeking something outside of themselves, and then it leading them to other things. That being said, weed usually doesn't lead you to meth. People, when it comes to using drugs, there's like two type of archetypes I feel right now. There are the I mean, maybe three. It's very difficult to try and judge, and I don't mean to, but like, this is the way that I understand it, at least. There is the archetype of stimulants, so people wanting to feel good. They want to feel up, they want to feel high, they want to feel, like the man. They want to feel like they're top. And that is like dopamine antagonists. So cocaine is a reuptake inhibitor, so it allows your brain to use your own dopamine, continue using your own dopamine to the point of destroying them technically. Then there's like methamphetamines, which basically gives your brain a molecule that is very similar to dopamine, and it bonds with your dopamine receptors, speed, and you get a bunch of things that kind of like act on that system. Technically, alcohol also acts on dopamine. Smoking cigarettes also acts on dopamine. Marijuana technically can also work on dopamine, but has like endocannabinoid interpretations as well. Then there's the second one, and I feel weed in a way falls into that as well, and it's psychedelics or serotonistic antagonists. So dimethyltryptamine, DMT, LSD. MDMA technically is a reuptake inhibitor, so it makes your brain use your own serotonin a little bit more efficiently, which is technically still the same receptor being antagonized. But I feel I'm not too keen a proponent of MDMA use as an experience, because it can be something that takes from you instead of giving you something. You can give yourself a lot in that experience, but if you're not willing to give yourself a lot, it will take from you. And psychedelics, just like pure psychedelics that give you the serotonin shape, the little molecule in itself, give you something. It's literally like changing the balance of serotonin shaped molecules in your brain chemistry, and then experiencing a set of information because of that. And the difference, I'm going to talk about the third one now. The difference between those two experiences is the one gives you the information, the noise of good. You are doing good. You are happy. You are fascinated with this thing because good, 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 you good, good, yeah, good. That's almost like what, at least that's what I interpret the experience to be. Then serotonin or psychedelics can be the experience of awe with information, right? Where more of it gives you more information. You might just be looking at a person, and instead of just seeing that person, you're seeing what you feel about them, you're seeing what you see in them, you're seeing the way they move their hair, you're seeing the color of their eyes, you're seeing the clothes they're wearing, you see the way they move their body, if they're comfortable or not. You see the way they interact with other people. You see how an interaction influences them if they don't get the reaction they were looking for from another person, if they do get the reaction they're looking for from another person. So instead of just in a normal way looking and seeing, oh, person, and then glancing away, now because you're in this informationally enhanced, like serotonin state, you're seeing all of these other fractals attached to that same person. And that, instead of it just being a good experience, like a nice experience, it can be a difficult one, because sometimes you see fractals that you don't want to. You'll see everything, both the dark and the light, and it will be very apparent to you that you get to choose which one you want to be as well. And they're very different experiences, where the one, in my opinion, is just easy, fun going. That's why people will continue to do it over and over and over and over again, to the point of detriment to their health, relationships, uh, record, and stealing to keep up with the habit, where serotonin antagonist psychedelics can be difficult to the point where after having an experience, you can be averse to it for a while. My last psychedelic experience was in March, February, 4 months basically at this point. My last big one was at the end of February. So the fact that these experiences give me something and then I'm completely separated from them for a while gives me a sense of non-addictive nature. I feel it's a complicated question. Well, you thank you for asking it. I hope I gave you some insight into how I feel about it. It's a very I can keep going. I've literally talked about this like subject for hours, nonstop. The more the human mind develops, the more it understands what the lines our past generations drew over nature aren't as solid as they believed they were. Instead, nature seems to be a bunch of clouds that fade into each other. Melting, dude. Ceaselessly melting. It's sad how authorities are quick to point to a plant that humans have been using since the beginning, when the fact is that most drug users are the way they are because they were abused at some point in their lives. It is an escape from something that hurts them. It's a feeling of powerlessness, and then realizing they have a sense of power, an ability to experience something on that other side. And then, becoming attached to that sense of power because of the pain that is experienced. You're so right, friend. It's easy to blame drugs for creating drug abusers instead of abuse because it's basically impossible to have a war on abuse. I feel it might be impossible, but abuse would go away if people weren't abused. Right now, as a general public, human beings are being abused. So it makes sense that within the individual fractal, the fractal of the person, there will be abuse because there is abuse within the fractal of humanity right now. But that is going away, friends, slowly but surely. Can't see your emoji. When I typed in your binary to text converter, it was this. A little circle with little points that makes it look like a square. Wikipedia says it's a placeholder for a currency symbol. I like that. I don't like speaking on things as absolute because I'm certain that I know less than I think I know. Exactly, God. That's the problem. And even though I know that is the fact, when I try and say something, when I share an idea, I share it with a fascination for the idea, right? It's like I want to give the idea the best shot it's got. And if I'm sharing an idea without any sense of knowing, without any sense of confidence, then the idea loses all of its luster before it even has an opportunity to be considered. So I agree, and it's a difficult balance to kind of keep, and it's something that I feel people don't necessarily know about me. They see how much I believe in things, and then they're like, oh, there's something wrong with this person. But it's just a willingness to show up, I guess, for an idea, for an understanding. My glass isn't that far away, but I don't want to leave the screen right now. Also trying to find it, I got ooh. That's the way that I thought about reading it. Just have a random need. For the first time yesterday, I was able to channel my anger into power and painted an entire canvas. It felt great having the inspiration muse here once again. Closing my eyes, I see a pill. Red on top, white at the bottom. Red is smaller, white is larger, white going over the red capsule. And then behind the capsule, there are these weird little fractally, I don't know, almost like caveman carvings. And it's like floating in front of a wall, and these caveman carvings are like fractaling above and below it. Thank you for being my muse, Maxine. I appreciate it. It's on my portfolio profile. I need to go and check it out. Thank you. I'd love to see it. I see it badass. Now I'm curious. The mind of kids who are deaf and do not learn sign language will not develop because they have no way of thinking. That's what makes me wonder what we must have had a way of communicating with ourselves, even if we couldn't use that system to communicate with others. That is fascinating. I didn't know that. What a trip that is. Deaf kids who do not learn sign language do not develop. Is this science? Is this data we have right now? That's exactly how my family is too. I feel you. 420 plays it, right? And then we see these individuals living these lives that we cannot even imagine ourselves living. Like we're so averse to it that we don't even want to imagine ourselves living that life. And then they're like, yeah, you should be doing this and this. You should be doing so and so. And then I'm like, but dude, if I follow the advice you're giving me, am I gonna live your life? Then no, thank you. Thank you for the blaze it. It's a fractal we all face sometimes. Love you for being here. Love you for joining me as well. Thank you, Red. We can be physically close to someone while being emotionally distant. That's also true, right? Same infinity, but the other side of it. Just because you have the same blood doesn't mean they're family. I've chosen my family, and all of them want me to succeed and love me for who I am. That is true family. I couldn't agree more, Maxine. Beautifully said. Thank you for sharing that. You all deserve family like that, friends. Remind yourself often who people really are so that you can keep yourself from opening yourself up to someone who you know is toxic but is acting positively in the moment. Words have definitions so that we can exchange ideas without having to define each word every time. If you want to exchange ideas, it's wise to know the definition of words. I agree with what you said, but the way you said it makes me feel enlightened. Thank you, friend. Beautifully said. Genuinely so. I appreciate it, Mr. Binary. Joe! Thank you for joining us, friend. It's nice to have you here. Thank you for the all seeing upvote. Nice of you. To abuse, I mean, as abuse a child by a parent. Yeah, I understand exactly what you're meaning, friend. You think parents abuse their children just nilly-willy? No. There's a bunch of shit that came before that. Being stepped on by your boss, being stepped on by your dad, being stepped on by your mom, being stepped on by your parents, being stepped on by bullies, being stepped on by the financial system, being stepped on by your mortgages, being stepped on, and and then your child does something wrong, and all of this anger that you've been holding back against the system now is consolidated in front of you as a helpless, powerless child, and then you try and take some of your power back because that's the only way you think you can, and then you become an abusive father. I'm not saying it's right. I'm aware of how it happens, but I believe it's still because we have abusive patterns in our humanity right now. You, Redfish, it's nice to have you here, friend. Thank you for joining us. Children. Melt. There's a book by Julian Janus. Janus? You might find interesting. It's called The Origin of Consciousness in the Breakdown of the Bicameral Mind. I suggest this based on today's talk. Please send me the name, friends, so I can add it to my book list. I literally have like 22 books on my book list right now. And then I have, at this point, 12 books in my folder that I've started reading. I'll get to it eventually. Joel, within infinity, the origins of consciousness and the breakdown of bicameral mind. Bicameral is the word that kind of fascinates me. I don't know what it means. Bicameral. Bi meaning two, of course. Cameral. Camera. Cameral. Bicameral brain. Talking about choosing life, or life being your friend. I'm curious as to what this book is going to go into, Joel. Music is the bridge. Oh yes, music. An ability or an energy that can literally make your own body move. Why you need family. I feel human beings are social creatures, and we need family for the same reason we need food, for the same reason we need shelter. It gives us a sense that we are secure. It gives us a sense that we are safe and understood, and there are others like us. It gives us a sense of, okay, I'm fine. That's why I think we need family. I own that book, haven't read it though. There we go, Mojo. Now you have an intention to. what are the odds of that? Like the synchronicity. Such a odd, out there book. And then of the how many people are we here right now? Of the 19 people that happen to be in this stream, you happen to be a person who owns that book. The odds of you even existing as a human being right now are infinitesimal. So the odds of that happening as well, drippy. Mm. Yes, the phenomena of deaf children is well known. Okay. It's beloved that the reason people sometimes hear voices is because the early human mind may have functioned as a literal internal voices. Mm. Mm. So that's interesting that you pose that question again within this not knowing anything. I believe that the original creative force is mind-like, consciousness-like, awareness-like, this knowing of here I am, like, right? That experience. And then from there, a thought arose for something instead of nothing, like a voice, if you will. And when that voice spoke, when that voice created, when that voice asked for something, there it was. And one of the things that was asked for was you. Because here you are, experiencing it right now. So I really like that literal internal voices idea as well, from the point of reducing it to the ultimate and the original divine mind having the voice and thinking of you. An older mentor of your same gender or opposite makes a major difference in one's life. I recently got a mentor, interestingly enough, Red Clicker. Brother Ryan, I feel, has been a mentor for me. Uncle Becky is a mentor to me as well. I feel Joe Tate is also a mentor to me. Fear Brother Goo, you know, not Mr. Gob. Gob, I feel, is a brethren in a way where he's me, very much me. And I feel Brother Ryan is me matured. Right? And I get to see these fractals of myself. I get to hear the challenges they're facing in family and finances, and I get to learn from them in a way that has been life-changing. You're completely right. Thank you, Red, for being one of my mentors as well, beloved friend. I appreciate you so much. Disney Live. The part that Jolene and Jewel puts forth in the book. This is the part. Sometimes hear voices. Okay, really cool. Being emotionally attached to those who we have grown up with, especially if they have shown nothing but love. I'm not the most educated, but I do love learning. That's the way, friend. That is the way. Thank you for sharing with me as well. We're learning together. The fact that you're here right now, I might not be saying things revolutionary. You might have heard these things before, but every single time we hear something, we do have a certain feeling about it. We might have the same feeling about it, and that feeling might conceptually stay the same, but over enough time, you'll notice how things do change. And we get to explore that. We get to experience that change ceaselessly by showing up every single day. I'm not the most educated lady. Love, hey Joel, is this similar? Same to God, voices of the biherical mind? It is indeed. I am Meldmarp. Yes, you are, Gob. Yes, you are, friend. Literally. And I do believe that. Literally, dude. You're just me where you are. And I'm like looking at my environment right now as you. And I'm like, this shit is so whack. How is there someone else speaking as me somewhere else right now? Experiencing life, having dogos. To have the wisdom that we are not separate. I love being within life with you friends. I'm happy that we chose the same life. I'm happy that we chose this life. It's the one thing we can guarantee we do have in common as well. We're here together after all. So we did choose this experience together. And I appreciate you, friends, for choosing this experience within the grand experience. On top of that, you flatter me, genuinely. It doesn't have to be blood. That's right. We mentor each other. Everyone is our teacher, right? That's the way that I've been thinking about it more and more. And I need to remind myself even more of it. So again, in this moment, everyone is our teacher, even if they teach you. And to contrast that with something we said before about the family I have trying to teach me, right? They can teach you even if you don't want to listen to them. They can teach you the things that you don't want to be. They can teach you how to respond when people say things that you don't agree with, right? There is always a lesson in everything. So I appreciate you, friends, always for teaching me, for choosing to say anything at all. I hope your package shows up soon. Oh, Maxine, I hope so too. I'm still waiting for packages from Brother Ryan and Jem. Jem sent me a package in January. Brother Ryan sent me a package at the start and close at the end of February. So I look forward to finding out. This country is like a supercharged patience learning machine, Maxine. I'm gonna have to be patient again. Thank you so much for being willing to give me something. I really appreciate it. I'm hearing Spangles, I Am You playing in my head. I just like finding people who entertain ideas without behaving as if they are undoubtedly right. Live and learn from fools and from sages, right? This is the way, friend. Thank you. Thank you for being here with me. I mean, if you don't like people that behave like they undoubtedly right, and the fact that you were willing to stay here for a while, I can confer that you may have enjoyed these conversations a little bit at least. I do tend to be one of those people. Sometimes I'm more than willing to admit that, and I'm trying to be very aware of it, especially these days. I like being right. I do like being right, but I don't want to be right at the expense of my relationships. And I'm happy that I can be aware of that. I'm happy that in this moment you can teach me that lesson again as well, Mr. Binary. Thank you, friend, for being here with us. It was nice to get to know a small part of you, friend. Smallest little fractal. So beautiful, genuinely. It's like literally looking through I mean, your text as little lines that make up this infinite, torus fractal that is weaved together. And every single little line of text is but like a single strand of your infinity. So you've been like pulling these strands out of your mind and weaving them into this infinity, right? Into this stream, into this experience, and you're a beautiful friend. It was nice seeing you. Hi all. It's been a very hard week and I asked for help. I walked away from my blood family years ago. The best contact is no contact. I will not accept hurtful, destructive love. Thank you all for the love given here. I found myself, as soon as I closed my eyes, Molly, on a planet. And I say on a planet pretty ambiguously because I didn't notice or recognize rather the planet I was on. And I could see machinery basically turning soil into some sort of processed material. And I felt like I was caught up in looking at that. And then I kept breathing and I moved further and further and further and further and further away until I eventually just found myself with a almost like fisheye lens view of the planet, where my complete field of vision was just planet, and what was in front of my eyes was a storm, kind of like twisting in on itself. But instead of it just being a storm twisting in on itself, it was mirrored in the middle. So it was these two storms twisting in on itself. And it was almost like the edges of these storms, as it was twisting in on itself, was like reaching. It wanted to get to the center of itself. Whew. The way that I interpret that is taking a step back. I appreciate you asking for help. I hope that this hard week has been informative in a way where you realize just how strong you are again. I'm happy that we could have been here for you, shown up with you, in the smallest of ways or in the largest of ways, showing you that love is true. Thank you for giving us love. For what it's worth, over this last week, even though Miss Molly might have had a very difficult week, she was still loving every single day that she showed up. Infinitely so. Like what you sent me as well, Miss Molly. Miss Molly offered to help me. And as flattered as I am and as beautiful as the request to me is, I would rather let you help yourself. Right? It's an experience that you allow me as well, Miss Molly. I thank you so much for that, friend. You were so loved. I would love to know more context, especially since you followed. I asked for help directly with. I walked away from my blood family years ago. I don't know, but you didn't ask your family again, for help necessarily. Are you helped? Are you okay, Miss Molly? I'm here for you as well, friend. Know that you are seen and loved. Yeah, this is fun. Who doesn't like being right? I guess, right? It's true. We should just not try and be right at the detriment of other people or to the point of ego where it becomes a competition. But that again is at the detriment of other people. In the end, these ideas we exchange are irrelevant. What matters is what we build positive connections. That it is. Beautifully said. What a beautiful point that is. I'll take that. That's going in my mind. That one is going in my mind to the point where it's going into physical writing. Mr. Binary, you will be immortalized in the book of things worth saying. I love that so much. In the end, the ideas we share. Irrelevant IRR. Beautiful, Mr. Binary. In the end, the ideas we share are irrelevant. All that matters is the connections that we made, the connections that we make. Thank you, friend. That's very beautiful. I couldn't agree more, especially since I believe these streams literally make connections in our brains. And once you make a connection in your brain, you cannot unmake that connection. Your brain forever remembers that that connection is a possibility in subconscious. It might not activate it actively, but if it needs to, it will know that it has to. Especially now that any idea can be searched and found faster than ever before. It's true. It's the age we live in right now. There are plenty of times I have not liked being right. Yeah, actually, that's true as well, Sylvina. Sometimes you're right about things that you warn people against. When I have been ignored and something bad as a result, oh yes. More often than not, that seems to be my case as well, Sylvina, where people I give people advice and then they don't listen to me, and then it bites them in the ass, and I'm like, now what? Now what? Now what is everything? So that's why I feel that want to be right. I'm trying to call that as well. Can be complicated for abuse state as lessons. Yeah, that's the truth for everything. Life is an art, so we can have guidelines, but we can't really live by a set of rules because life's circumstances changes a lot. The only constant is change. It's literally the only thing you can bet on. Oh no, don't quote me. You've been quoted. Get quoted, friend. Get quoted. If I can be certain of anything, is that I am not the first person to have said or thought of anything. It's not what it's about, friend. It's about, so this book is a book of things worth saying, right? Some of them, I was the one who thought of it, the first person who thought of it, right, in a conceptualized way. But most of it is other people's words. And instead of thinking of it from this point of trying to give credit or honor to a person, which I do try to do as much as I can as well, I think of it from ideas worth sharing, right? Like the or things worth saying. Saying these things, experiencing these things, hearing these things makes you feel something. And that feeling is what's important, not so much how many times it's been shared before, how many people have said it, who exactly said it. That's the thing that I said. And like talking about that, let me read you something from the book of things worth saying. So these are the two ones that stand out to me. The first one goes, forgiveness has nothing to do with telling someone that they have wronged. Forgiveness is the recognition that nothing has been done to you. And then the last one is begin to cultivate the deliberate practice of recognizing that you are in a field of energy that is your perfect servant. And that one is a little bit of a yikes, but I feel it's very relevant when it comes to the topic we share today. You are in a field of energy that is your perfect servant, that you chose this field of energy, like a lover, the way you would choose someone to love for the rest of your life. And you will. You don't have a choice. You have chosen this beloved, this divine feminine being. And you will love her until you die. Literally. Then you'll return to spirit. Maybe you'll have another opportunity to choose a nature again, right? A divine feminine being, an expression of the infinity on the other side of you as awareness. But you will love this life until you die. And dying is the release, is the giving back to that life. Heaven flowing, ceaselessly going through the infinity. Hi to you, Dosasisyu. I don't know how to say your username, friend. Hi to you, Doas. Doas? I'll just say Doas. Love to you, friend. It's so nice to have you here. My siblings belong to a church that I don't attend or agree with. Therefore, I'm an outcast. My friends have come to help me. Sit, yes! All I ever have to do is ask, and I have more than enough help. That makes me happy. Whew. Thank you for just saying those words. It gives me hope. It gives me so much hope. Thank you, Miss Molly. By being right, I mean that we know a fact, not that we saw something bad coming. I mean, being right has a bunch of different meanings at the end of the day as well. Have you ever heard of the Monroe Institute? It sounds very familiar in this moment, Maxine. Monroe Institute. Something in my mind is going towards psychedelic research, but I'm not sure. Cassiopeia Dwarf! It's nice to have you here. It's been a while. How are you? How are you? What's going on? It's nice to have you. I love to talk to people like you because you bring out things I have never thought of before. Yes. It was, oh, I'm not flattered. You're flattered. You're flattered, Mr. Binary. Thank you. That's very nice. That's a real cool thing to say to someone, friend. I really appreciate that. I like to write stuff down a lot too, even if I only use it for my non-fiction writing. I also like to write things down. So this little book of mine is a book of things worth saying, you know, like a bunch of things where I read them and I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. May consciousness alone dwell within and as this creation that I once thought of as myself. Yeah. Me and Christian have been practicing what we call crackhead energy, where if we get excited about something, we go, it's fun. It's good fun. And then I'll read you something from my other journal, my manifestation journal. I'll also kind of like open it randomly. I hope it's not too cringe. It's gonna probably still be a little bit cringe, but you know, manifestation is can be cringe-worthy. I believe of it as this intention of choosing to write spells into the universe, right? If I'm gonna imagine manifestation as me writing a spell, I'm going to try and make the spell as powerful as possible. I'm not gonna be like, oh, and then the spell is maybe gonna do this, and then maybe the spell will do that, and then if I get lucky, the spell will do so and so. Instead, I'm like, no, this is what the spell will do. So bear with me, right? If I'm gonna read this for you. I'll send you a video on Insta, please. Please, Maxine. My bad, I meant in my fiction writing. Darn dyslexia. I also have dyslexia, friend. It's so chill. My B's and D's get switched all the time. This one? Okay. Okay. This is technically the one. I was like thinking about reading the other one, but this is the one that called this. So this was written on the 5th of June. And it goes, so the way that I manifest, I go, what I want to manifest, why I want to manifest it, how I'm going to manifest it. I imagine it already done. It's like, it's manifested. I can see it in my mind's eye. And then I'm grateful for it having already been manifested. And then I close the book and I instantly forget what I wrote. So we're going to figure out what I wrote in the 5th together now. Okay, it goes, I am capable of making the most of transitions. I will show up for myself, and in showing up for myself, show up for my dreams. My happiness will serve the happiness of all around me. My peace will bring peace. Because I allow myself to be free, all who see me learns that they can be free as well. I will become an example for what is possible, showing up and being present no matter the nature of the transitions. All the transitions in my life will serve my highest good, and so that of all. I appreciate you, friends, for being in this moment with me, for sharing love instead of hatred. It means so much. It says so much about you, and it gives me hope for humanity. If I were on a road trip, make sure I have nothing with navigation. Are you crazy? If we were on a road trip, make sure okay, you shouldn't be. Okay, I was, for a second, my mind went into this fractal of you saying, if you're on a road trip, make sure you have nothing that can help you navigate. And I was like, yes, you. How have you survived this long? Or we will end up in the North Pole. I mean, maybe that would be a vibe. Road trip all the way to the North Pole. Yes, show what the power has done for you, instead of just talking about it. That's the way, friend. That is the way. I appreciate you, friends, for joining me. Always nice. Always a pleasure. Always love. Always love. I was thinking, I was like staring out of the window, and I was like, yeah, in 44 years, and I'm still doing this. And people are like, why are you doing this? No. And I'm like, I do this because I show up for love. And at that point, there will be so much love. For me, surely, me for you, friends, you for each other. And that is what we're going to be showing up for. And it can be seen as this, me doing it for myself. Oh, I show up to be loved. right? And it's going to be again an interpretation of what it is we believe about ourselves. Do you believe you're willing? Do you believe you're worthy of showing up for love? And then after asking that question, bringing it back to today's topic that you already did. Here you are, having shown up for love, friend. Thank you so much. It's so nourishing to examine life with friends like this. It's such a luxury, you're right, Mojo. Especially. Like Mojo 6, are you the same Mojo that used to tune into our streams long ago and you're tuning in again? Maybe your username changed. Maybe that's why I'm not connecting the dots, but it's nice to have you here, friend. Now that I've noticed you so many times, it's always a pleasure seeing you. So many in the world have to spend most of their mental and physical energy on just obtaining food and shelter. It's true. What you're saying is true, Mojo. It's changing though. It will. It's already changing. And I feel we have this opportunity to build a world, to build an understanding, to build a way of living that is kind of indicative of that life, where we have these luxuries, where we can sit and have nourishing conversations with friends, and we're figuring out how to do and make the most of that existence. Because the world we're going to be living in the next 44 years is going to be one of extreme abundance. There's going to be a lot of stuff, way more stuff, so much stuff. So we're gonna need to know how to be happy regardless of stuff. I appreciate you, friends, for being happy with me regardless of stuff right now. I know it can be difficult. There's a lot of stuff, but I can see you, friends, being loving and happy, and it gives me hope. I'm like a bird. I have a keen sense of direction. I'm like a worm. I know that there is only one direction. Yow! Into the ground. I don't know. I was like thinking about what is bad direction. I don't have good direction, and the fact that you're the bird and I'm the worm, you're technically going to be eating me because of my bad direction. I'm just gonna be popping up top, and you're gonna be like, tasty melt. Where am I going with this, Amina? I don't know. Thank you for joining me. Others have more than enough, but choose not to question the path that they're on. That kind of breaks my heart as well, Mojo. But both sides of the infinity, us trying to find the balance in that. I appreciate you for balancing me as well. Do you have magnets in your brain? That's, I mean, technically we do, right? Human beings have the ability to sense the magnetosphere. We just aren't as aware of it anymore. Yes, they repel people. Well, for what it's worth, Safina, I do kind of like you. I find you very attractive in a personality way where I'm like, huh, what is Sabina gonna say next? Somewhat disturbed by melt analogy and result of it. I mean, you somehow that happened, right? You said a thing, I said a thing. My brain made a connection with the thing. Sometimes these things happen. If it wasn't for us being in this moment together, that thing would have never been. Thank you for creating the infinity with me, friend. Have you ever heard of the Venus Project? I have heard of the Venus Project. For some reason, all of these names, these projects, these institutes, Monroe Institutes, I know these things, but for some reason, the little fractal of information that's attached to them just seems to be unactive. I hate that I have to tell myself this is a joke. Sometimes, friend, sometimes we have to tell ourselves. Sometimes we're laughing at ourselves. Sometimes we're willing to admit that we're a particular type of personality, and people, maybe general people, find that a little bit resistive. Is that a word? No, Mel. No, it is. Yes, resistive. Thank you, friends, again for joining me. I'm going to read a card on the YouTube just for like a little bit of an extra gift to the YouTube friends. I appreciate you, friends, for joining me here. Give us a follow. I'll be here again tomorrow. Love you. Cheers, cheers. I do. I'm a warrior. Oh, yes, you are. I think I might have missed a few of the YouTube comments in the meanwhile. Maybe just a few. Hopefully, I'm hardly come and go. No, not actually. Sick. I do. I'm a warrior. Yes, you are. Even though I can't hear much, and that could cause me to feel separation. I can still feel you. And for that, I'm grateful. Me too. For what it's worth, Shannon. Like I was literally waiting for you to say something as well. Pulling this card because I know it's something you appreciate. Pulling this card because it's something I appreciate, right? And knowing that I can, instead of being alone in this process, like I have a whole ritual, right, of saying thank yous and stuff in the mornings, and I have a card pulling ritual where I pull cards for myself in a week advance, and then I flip them day by day. And I wanted to do that ritual with Christian, but Christian doesn't want to do magic. Doesn't want to do magic. So I stopped. And the fact that I get to do magic, whatever that's supposed to mean, with you friends, you're here for it. If you want to hear what's going to happen, what you hear, what little fractal of the universe is going to be activated, it means so much to me. If you were still doing that, thank you, ritual. I'm doing it for myself, but I'm not doing it the way I'm supposed to be doing it, where I light incense and I drink a cup of water. I'm not doing it to the full extent as I used to, Shannon. Just because there's different energy in this space. And I was trying to be all strict with it with Christian. Like, hey, oh, before you go to sleep, let's say thank you. Before you go to work, let's say thank you. And I could see it was causing him a sense of resistance and a sense of, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to force you to do anything you don't want to do. That's not my fractal. So I stopped. I'll definitely, take it up again when I get back home. Okay, cool. We're gonna pull a card. We'll do it this way again. Ooh, the green Taurus. It's a pretty looking one. Savina, Amanda, ooh, magic. We're gonna do some magic. Yeah, so much love to you, friend. Thank you so much for being here for it. Savina, look at this. Look at those pretty flowers. Look at that green Taurus. We were talking about the Taurus today. Remember, I was talking about people's individual messages as little lines that build up this infinity Taurus that is the human experience. And I was trying to visualize like these sentences being threads that get like weaved into it. Look at that. That's what I was talking about. I mean, this one is a little bit more simplified. Like the threads that I imagined were like microscopic, and then they would build into larger structures, and then those structures would interweave, and then they would weave over one another. But basic gist. Oh, I love the picture. Right, it's gorgeous. It's so beautiful. Okay, let's read what it means. Number 49, the green Taurus goes acceptance and trust. Oh, I need some acceptance right now. I need some trust. Thank you, universe. Yes, let me listen. Let me listen what the universe, what sacred geometry has to say. It goes, the green Taurus, snuggled comfortably within a nest of flowers, is both dynamic and passive. Its revolving magnetic spirit invites you to move into the green shadowy center and trust where you may be led. It is the nature of the Taurus to move energy, and the energy moving here is that of acceptance and trust. Calmly allow your attention to follow the swirling arms towards the mysterious center. Towards the mysterious center, recognize that you are moving through a passageway that may offer insight into the matter of your inquiry. Agree to be open to the message you may receive and trust that you are guided from within and beyond. Use this energy of potential as a means of accessing your most pure personal truth. Accept that this could be challenging, since many of us do not trust ourselves enough to recognize authentic truth when we are in its presence. Try to stay in this energy until you feel self acceptance and a sense, a message, and that you can trust. Sit with this knowing and have faith in what you find at your core. Gently follow the arms of the Taurus back into your reality, knowing you may better trust and accept yourself. As you learn to trust and accept yourself, you will find it easier to tolerate and to be trusting of others. Trust, huh? Trusting and accepting. It's interesting because I started reading that card with this feeling of trust and acceptance of my situation. Trust that the situation will yet improve, and acceptance for how the situation is. And the context of the trust and acceptance here is a trust and acceptance of the self in a way where it's a surrendering instead of a hopefulness. So I really love that as well. It was 11:44 as you were reading that. Tuning into the frequencies. Yo! Thank you, friends. I mean, it's seven people watching right now as well, Shannon. So four updooters. I appreciate you, friends, for joining me eternally. Blessed, blessed day upon you. I hope you get to share some love with someone. And even if you don't get to share love with someone, share love of yourself. Eat something delicious. Move a little bit. Spend like a 10 minute, little period looking at a tree. Pet your dog. Tell someone you love them. There was this couple walking. Me and Christian were standing outside of the glow shedding, and there's this couple walking hand in hand next to the road, and they look up to me, looking at them down from the balcony. And as soon as they make eye contact with me, I have this bubbling sensation where I tell them, "Hello, I love you." And as soon as after I say it, I'm like, "Oh shit." You can't just tell people you love them, Mel. And I was like, you know what? I can tell people I love them. I love you so dearly, as I do you, Shannon, as I do you, friend. Thank you so much. Thank you for the card reading. Thank you, Amanda, for staying to hear it, friend. Thank you, Shannon. Love you, Jovan. Love you all. Friends, have an amazing day. I'll see you again very soon. Cheers, cheers.